So we're going to talk about today how to hit a bunker shot and what all has to happen. The first key to understanding bunkers is understanding what actually we're trying to accomplish. In the bunker, you're never actually hitting the golf ball with a golf club. Effectively, what we're doing is splashing sand. So the first key is how to splash the sand correctly. Make sure we're splashing enough sand, and we're splashing that sand far enough. If we don't splash the sand enough to move the golf ball out of the bunker, it's not going to get out of the bunker. Too many people swing too easy, trying to pick the ball too clean, and the reason they swing easy is because when they end up actually hitting the golf ball and the ball goes too far. And then when they actually take a proper divot or use the sand correctly, the ball doesn't actually get out of the bunker because of the fact that they didn't swing hard enough. So they think they made a bad swing when in reality they just didn't hit it hard enough. So because we're not ever actually hitting the ball with the club, we're going to want the face open in the sand. This lowers the trailing edge, almost creates a rudder so that the club just kind of glides through the sand. And our goal is to take the longest, shallowest divot we can. That way, if the ball is anywhere inside of that divot, we're going to end up with a good result. So if I can make a divot that's 2 feet long and virtually the same depth all the way through, I could hit it 3 inches, 1 inch, 4 inches, 6 inches behind it, and the ball is going to go basically the same distance. Now it'll go different ways. The closer you get to the ball, it'll fly a little further and stop a little faster. But the key is that there's a huge margin of error there. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is why you'll hear a lot of announcers on TV say that guys rather be in a good bunker than buried in the rough, is because it's actually an easier shot once you understand how to play it effectively. So for a basic bunker shot, one of the keys is that you can't get your weight too far out on your toes. We're going to lower your body, have your knees flexed. This does allow your hands to be relatively low, but without having your wrist cocked. So my grip is still going to be pointed at or just above my belt buckle, but I'm lowering my whole body. This allows us to swing on a little bit flatter, shallower angle of attack, which is going to allow us to elongate the divot and create a more of a sweeping swing. So a good divot in a bunker is going to look like that. Very shallow, very long divot. It's not going to look like where we pick the club straight up and smash it in the ground and take a big old massive deep divot. Because what's going to happen is you'd have to hit the ball really hard, and what that's going to do is the harder you have to swing, when you screw up or if you screw up, you're going to get a huge variance in distance, good versus bad shots. So long, shallow divot, the open face is going to help, and then the beauty of this is that the ball can be almost anywhere within that divot and still end up okay. Golf swing wise, we want to swing this much like we do a normal golf swing. So it's going to swing on an arc. It's not going to be picked up completely vertical, and we don't want to have the club go outside and swing way across it. You actually want the divot to go straight at the target, because again, we're not hitting the ball with the club. The ball's going to go wherever the sand goes. So even though the face is open, I'm aiming directly at the flag, and we're going to splash sand at the target, and the ball goes right at it. Really long, shallow divot, huge margin of error. If I were to hit that ball further behind it, so if I were to draw a line in the sand and hit it maybe 4 or 5 inches behind it, the ball would go the same distance, it would just fly shorter and run out more of a kind of a chunk and run. Not have a lot of spin on it, still end up with a very good shot. And again, you're going to notice my divots are extremely long, but not very deep. Same thing as if I were to hit the sand closer to the ball, it's going to fly a little bit further was actually a little behind it, and it worked out. That's the one beauty of this, is you don't have to be perfect. Even bad shots can end up being pretty good. The longer the divot, the bigger the margin of error. And because hitting it thin is the worst shot you could do, is I'd actually err, divot more behind the ball, longer, shallower divot. That's gonna spin. For a biggest margin of error. So you're always gonna be better landing it, hitting further behind it if the divot's long enough and shallow enough, so that the ball can carry and then kind of run out a little bit. There's most times not going to be a whole lot of incidents where you have to fly it all the way to the hole. Longer and shallower the divot, the easier it's going to be. So easiest way to think about it is the ball's going where the sand's going. So for a high bunker shot, a relatively close one, if we were to throw the sand up in the air, that's the direction the ball is going to go. So if I just splash the sand straight up, ball comes out high, doesn't go very far. On a long bunker shot, if I were to hit one to that back flag, we want to splash the sand out. Face is still open. I'm actually not going to make that much bigger of a swing. I'm just going to throw the sand outward. Club head's going to stay closer to the ground, more like we did on the tight lie pitch. Ball carries a lot further, runs out a little bit. And on the longer ones, you'd be better off to almost keep the club head in the sand, or the idea, than to have the sand come up too high. That ensures that the ball comes out flat, rolls a little more, and you're going to see that I actually didn't make that much bigger of a swing on that shot, which went about 30-40 yards, versus the short-sided bunker shot that went straight up. Is the bigger swing you make, you better hit it perfect. So essentially all we're doing is splashing sand. Higher we want the ball to go, the higher we splash the sand. If we want the ball to go low, we're going to splash sand out. So face is always open, even on the long bunker shot. This face is wide open because we want that club to not dig, so the longest, shallowest divot. The long bunker shot face is open, splash sand out. For the short bunker shot, same swing, the big difference is in the follow through. I want to almost feel like I'm throwing the sand over my left shoulder. Because at the end of the day, we're just splashing sand. We're never hitting the golf ball. And you can actually do a lot of good practice without hitting a golf ball. Is you can sit here, and one of the reasons I'm good at this is because where I say I'm going to hit the sand, I do it. So I drew 2 lines in the sand, far apart, and every single one of those divots took up that entire space and are almost the same depth all the way through. If you can take a consistent divot, you can hit really good bunker shots. The ball's plugged. The same thing is we still don't want to hit the golf ball. So the key here is that we're going to have to get a little bit steeper to make sure we get down to it. When the ball's plugged, all we're going to do is lower our hands a little bit to make us steeper. It's going to preset the club at address, and then you're just going to have to hit it hard. But hands really low, and when you lower your hands, I want you to drop your right foot back, because if you don't, your leg's in the way. This allows us to make a normal backswing with the hands down by your knees. That ball comes almost straight up and soft. I can get one to stop short of that flag almost every time, even if the ball is completely plugged. You don't have to hit a ball with a closed club face. The ball is going to go careening across the green. You can still hit one that comes out high and soft. The key is you can't touch the golf ball. So we got to lower the hand to make it steeper so that you can get down and actually splash the sand. And when the ball's buried, it's the only time you want to be steep. And reality is, because to get underneath that ball, we have to move low point further into the ground. When the ball's sitting up on top of the sand, there's no real reason to take a really deep divot because the ball's not in the ground at all. So for a normal shot, grip pointed more at your belly button, arms out a little bit, we're splashing sand. For a buried lie, grip's going to be pointed more at the bottom of your zipper. And same thing, and you're just going to really smack down into the sand. That sound that you hear, that thud, is the bounce hitting on the sand and the club basically skipping back off of it. If you can take good divots, you can hit good bunker shots. Hopefully this helps.